Hello and welcome to Rathods IAS Academy. Today in this session we are going to see very important articles that appeared in our today's newspaper. And in this video I am going to cover only Hindu related articles, but there are other sources of current affairs like we have PIB, All India Radio, and we have Indian Express, Down to Earth and Science Monitor. We are going to cover those articles which are important from our UPSC point of view in our monthly magazines. We are going to provide monthly magazines after 10 days of every month, guys. So you can download that current affairs magazines from our Rathods IAS Academy app. So please download Rathods IAS app from Play Store and you can log in with your number, and later on you can see different modules in our app. There you can purchase this current affairs course for just 10 rupees so that you can download this monthly magazines of 1 year in that app, guys. Okay. So now let us see the important topics of the day. The first one is industrial growth hits 23-month high of 7.3%. So this article is talking about industrial sector performance. Here you have to see index of industrial production. This topic is important from GS paper 3 under economy point of view. And next topic is study draws on Soligas in Karnataka to make case against fortress conservation approach. So here this article is talking about a case study like what Soligas did and what is their role in conservation of tigers in Karnataka. And this case study you can use directly in your mains answers, and even UPSC can ask you a prelims based question on this Soligas. And one more keyword in this article is fortress conservation. You have to know what exactly the meaning of this fortress conservation, and you have to get a perspective like whether we have to support this fortress conservation or like we should be against it. And this topic is important from GS paper 3 under environment and ecology. Our next topic is Center reissues draft on Western Ghats Ecozone. This article is talking about eco-sensitive area in our country, that is Western Ghats. You will study about this Western Ghats in geography, and even you have to see this Western Ghats from environment and ecology. And this topic is very important. And here you have to see different committee recommendations related to protection of Western Ghats. Our next topic is study finds multiple dengue virus strains circulating together in India. Already I said in the month of August, September, October, you will see good number of articles in your Hyderabad edition related to dengue virus cases in Hyderabad. So now there is one article which says that there are multiple dengue virus cases or recording throughout our country. And here you have to revise about this dengue virus vaccine. And this topic is important from GS paper 3 under science and technology. And as well as you have to see that from even geography point of view and as well as society point of view also. Our next topic is urban India private schools at risk of proximity to toxic lead sites, says report. So this article is talking about lead contamination, especially seen in children who are going to schools. Why? Because a recent report says that most of our schools are located in these toxic sites and children are coming in contact with this lead. Because of this, it is having harmful impacts on their health. And this topic is important, especially from science and technology, and even from environment and ecology also. You may get a question, and many a times UPSC asked a question on this pollutants. And next topic is the urban nightmare, a fire with no escape. There is fire erupted in one multi-story building in Lucknow, and there is an article related to this. You have to see that from disaster management point of view. All these are the articles related to our Hindu newspaper today. Apart from that, in our editorial session, we have 3 articles other than these. First one, it is about student protest. Already we are discussing about that topic from long ago. The same thing it is given in that article. And next article, it is about Commonwealth 2026 game. And there you have to see who got which medals from India. That's it. And next one is about West Asia crisis. Already you know from many year, from long ago onwards, we are talking about that West Asia. We discussed about Babel Mandap. We saw a map and we know about what exactly happening in this West Asia. So I ignored those 3 articles and I am covering all these articles in our today's class. Okay, see this title and read out the title. industrial growth hits 23-month high of 7.3%. This topic is important from economy point of view. And economy had been started, right, for you from last 2 days. And I think sir is teaching about microeconomic concepts. It will be for only 2 days. Microeconomy will be somewhat difficult. You will be not feeling comfortable with that topics like elasticity, law of demand. But if you understand those topics, then you can apply that concepts in other areas. And UPSC asked many times questions on elasticity, law of demand, not only in the civil services but in CAPF serious exam also. UPSC asked directly the questions from elasticity. What are the examples of perfect elastic goods? What is law of demand? So like that UPSC asked many a times questions, not in civil services but even in other examinations related to that concepts. So for sure you have to know about that. But nowhere they will teach about this microeconomics except here. Okay, so by today this microeconomic concepts will be done, and from tomorrow onwards your macroeconomic topics will start, and you will feel more comfortable in that macroeconomic concepts rather than this micro. But just try to understand the concept. What is elasticity? What is law of demand? What is supply? So what are the 4 factors of production? So you have to see those concepts clearly. Okay, now let us see here. This article is talking about industries. If you see the sectors in our economy, we have 3 sectors, majorly 3 sectors. Those are primary sector, secondary sector, tertiary sector. Apart from this, we have quaternary and as well as quinary, but we'll keep them aside as of now. Normally, whenever the country goes in the development, or whenever the country's development is happening, obviously they'll move from one stage to another stage. Initially, every country will start with agriculture, which is a primary economy, and later on they'll shift on to secondary. Secondary talks about industrial sector or manufacturing, etc. And from this secondary, they will shift on to tertiary, which talks about services like banking, health services, education, telecommunications. All those comes under this tertiary sector. But India's growth story is different. India jumped directly from primary to tertiary sector. We ignored this secondary sector. India didn't focus much on this manufacturing. If you go to China, they are very good at manufacturing. If you go to any part of the world, we can see the products made from China. Is that the same with India? No, because we ignored this industrial sector. And even Japan. Japan is very good in this manufacturing sector. But India is very poor in this manufacturing sector. And India is really good in this tertiary sector, like providing the different services. Because of ignoring of this secondary sector, India is paying a huge cost now. Why? Because there is a very high rate of unemployment in our country. Even after completion of graduation or getting degrees, youth, they are not getting employment opportunities. Why? Because there is no proper industrial environment in our country. This sector will provide huge amount of jobs, but this sector we ignored. Because of this, the cost is rise of unemployment in our country. Okay, now what government is doing is, government realized this mistake, and government now it is trying to improve industrial sector in our country, and it is taking some measures to improve industrial sector. What are the measures? Now government came up with this scheme called as PIL. What is PIL? Production linked incentive scheme. So you produce more, I'll give you incentive. That is the ideology of this PIL. Production linked intensive, so PLI. Okay, next one is, government came up this scheme called as Made in India or Make in India. Government is providing certain incentives for the companies, and it is trying to increase the production in our country. Okay, we have Made in India scheme, and to increase employment in this industrial sector, government is also trying to provide skills under Skill India program. So like that, government came up with lots of schemes, and even whatever the production we are doing in our country, we need to export it to other countries, right? So for that, government is also trying to take some measures to increase exports from our country. So like that, government launched many schemes to increase industrial sector performance in our country. So now finally this article, what it is saying, industrial growth hits 23-month high of 7.3%. That means industrial sector is performing good in our country and it recorded 7.3 percentage of growth. If you see in August 2024, industrial sector is at just 2.1% of growth. Now it is 7.3. That means obviously there is increased production in our country and there is increased contribution of industrial sector to our GDP. That is the idea of this title. So here how UPSC can ask you a question. Consider the following statements regarding industrial sector performance. Is it a possible question or not? Yes, it is a possible question. And this industrial sector performance is measured by one index called as IIP. What is IIP? Index of Industrial Production. It can ask directly a question on this IIP. Consider the following statements regarding IIP. Already UPSC asked this kind of question in your prelims. And next, now this article is saying that there is increased industrial growth. Here UPSC in mains, it can ask you about what are the reasons behind this increased growth. And next one here will be, what will be the impact of increased industrial production in our country. So these points can be asked in your mains. From prelims, they will be asking you about facts, and from mains, they will be asking you about this kind of reasons, impact. Okay, like that, they will ask you a question. Okay, now let us see here. This article is saying that index of industrial production grew around 7.3 percentage, and this is one of the highest from last 23 months. That means from last 2 years, this is the highest industrial production. So why? What is the reason? The first one is base effect. Recently, we changed the base year for IIP. What is the new base year? 2022 to 2023. Because of that base year, now we had some significant growth because we are comparing with 2023 now. And next one here is, we are covering more sectors in this IIP now. We are including manufacturing sector, we are including electricity, and we are also using some categories which are based on use of people. And next one here is, there is strong manufacturing momentum in some sectors like electricity, and even automobiles and even food products. There is good demand in our country. Not only in our country, even in other countries also there is good demand because we made lots of agreements with different countries in the recent past. Because of that, there is increased exports or there is boost in our exports to other countries. That is another reason. And next one is, you already know about this Super El Nino this time. Because of that, there is delayed in rainfall and deficit of rainfall. There is 40% of rainfall deficit in month of July. And even normally this monsoon winds will hit India on June 1st. But this time it delayed by 4 days. Right? All these things you know. Because of this delayed monsoon, there is increased demand for electricity. Yes, we continue to use this AC, cooler, fans, everything till now. So because of this, there is increased demand. Obviously, this electric sector did good this time. And next one here is, we are getting good investments into our country. Because of this, what happened? We get good technology. Our manufacturing companies will have funds so that they can produce more. So overall, all these are the reasons which led to increased industrial production in our country. And now you guys tell me, what will be the impact of good industrial production? What will be the impact? If our industrial sector is doing good, what will be the impact? First one is, it will contribute more to our GDP. Our GDP will be increased. Next one is increased employment generation. Next, what about poverty? Decreased poverty. Why? Because if they are getting jobs, If they are getting their livelihood opportunities, they'll get salaries or wages. Obviously, we can control this poverty, and even we can reduce hunger, and even we can reduce malnutrition in our country. That means what about government spending? Government spending will be increased or decreased on social welfare schemes? Government spending will be for sure decreased. So if government spending will be reduced, then what about the financial burden on government? For sure it will be reduced. So it can divert that funds used to be spent in this welfare schemes for infrastructure projects, so that will leads to creation of assets in our country. Okay, so in that way try to link each and every point, and you have to write at least 5 points in your impacts. Okay, now let us see some facts regarding this IIP. UPSC can give you a question in prelims in this way. Consider the following statements regarding IIP, Index of Industrial Production. Under that, it can give you 2 to 3 statements, and it may ask you which of the above statements are correct or incorrect. Why this year you can expect a question on IIP? Because of change of base year and because of addition of one sector in core industry. What is that? Iron ore. Earlier we have how many? 8, but now we have 9. Because of this update, you may get a question. So in that way, you have to expect some topics on which UPSC can ask a question. So if you are good in that guessing, for sure, you can prepare very well, and with your knowledge, you can solve that questions without going wrong. So that kind of updates related to current affairs will be very important in your prelims and as well as mains. In prelims, it is highly unpredictable, I can accept, but in mains, 80% of questions can be predicted. So if you are revising that topics more, obviously you will get score more, and your prelim score will be not added to your final list. It is just for qualifying in nature. But which marks will be added to your final score? Mains and interview. So if you are gaining more marks in your mains, there is a high edge of clearing this examination to see your name in the final list. So that way, daily update of current affairs is very important. Don't ignore this current affairs at any cost, guys. Whoever, whatever they say, don't ignore this current affairs. It will be the core of your exam. I will show why this current affairs are important on August 21st. On August 21st, you have mains. Do you know this? Whoever cleared this 2026 prelims, they are going to write examination of mains from August 21st. August 21st will be essay, and next day GS1 and GS2. Next 3 days will be your GS, and after that you will be having 5 to 7 days of leave, and you will be having your language papers morning and afternoon, and next day will be your optional paper morning and evening. You will be writing your mains only in the 5 days. You have 9 papers, you have to write in 5 days. Once that paper is released, I will show you that paper, then you will realize what is the importance of current affairs in your mains. Okay, and this time I want to even see the strike rate on our mains also. In prelims we got 47 questions, and in mains also we are going to see how many topics I said in my class and how many questions appeared, and I will also make a clear cut video on that also. Then you will realize, I should not miss this current affairs class. Yes or no? If I show something, then only you'll realize. If I will not show anything like I did this, you won't believe it. So this time I want to make a video on that also. Then you will realize, whoever who are missing this current affairs, at that time they will realize, no, I should not miss this current affairs. Okay, so see here, this IIB is released by, please make a note, NSO, National Statistical Office, very important. IIB is released by NSO, National Statistical Office, comes under which ministry? MOSPI, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Please make a note, NSO under MOSPI. Sometimes it will be difficult to remember these ministries, but with practice you can remember and recall everything. Don't get afraid of it. And next one is, it is one of the macroeconomic indicator, and this will measure changes in the volume of industrial production in our economy. If you are getting this kind of data, our government will be knowing like which sector is doing well and which sector is not doing well. And which sector is not doing well, government will try to provide some incentives to make it good. So like that, this kind of indices will be very helpful to make policy changes for our government. And recently we had revision of base year. What is that? Earlier we used to have 2011 to 12, now we change it to 2022 to 23. That will be very important. And next one is we also expanded the production basket this time. We included 1042 products in this new index. Earlier we used to have 839. Because of that also there is increased industrial production number here. Okay, that's it guys. And see this next article. Read out the title. Study draws Soligas in Karnataka to make case against fortress conservation approach. So what are the keywords? The first keyword is fortress conservation. Second one here is you have to say about Soliga's case study. Okay, I'll tell you how question can be asked first. Recently, fortress conservation is seen in news. Which of the following option best reflects it? And they'll give you ABCD options. That is the first type of question. And second type of question is consider the following statements regarding fortress conservation, and they may give you 2 to 3 statements under it, and it may ask you like identify correct or incorrect. This is about fortress conservation. And second one is about Soligas. They are tribal population, or tribal community located in Karnataka. Consider the following statements regarding Soligas of Karnataka, ABCD, or else 1, 2, 3, 4 statements. They may ask you like identify correct or incorrect. That is the first type. And the Soligas are PVTGs. What is the full form of PVTGs? Particularly vulnerable tribal groups. They'll give you in this way. Consider the following tribes. Around 4 to 5 tribes they will give, and they will ask you to identify which of the above are PVTGs. That is the next type of question. If you see UPSC PYQ in 2019, the question was in this way. Consider the following statements regarding PVTGs, and they gave you 3 statements and they asked you to identify correct statements. In that they gave number, they gave about the characteristic of PVTGs. And now the Soligas or PVTGs again in news. And this article talking about a case study how the Soliga people helped in conservation of tigers in Karnataka. That means you may get a question on PVTGs. You have to keep star mark for Soligas and you have to collect some facts regarding this PVTGs. Because we expected there will be a question on this PVTGs in 2026 prelims also. Why? Because of Great Nicobar project. Because of this, PVTGs like people who are living in this Andaman and Nicobar area were affected a lot. So we expected the question on PVTGs, but they didn't ask in civil services. But UPSC will conduct other examinations also like CAPF, CDS like that. In 2026, whatever the examinations conducted by UPSC like CAPF and CDS, they gave question on this PVTGs, but not in civil services. That means next time there is a chance of giving question in 2027 prelims about this PVTGs. In that way, if you analyze other examination papers of UPSC, you will exactly come to know which topics are important, how they are asking question, and how they are reflecting in your UPSC civil services. If you want to clear this examination, not only focusing on UPSC civil service examination is important, even you have to see in that year other examinations conducted by UPSC also you have to see, then only you can understand like trending topics. Normally if you watch some reels or shorts, you will know trending topics, trending ideas. In that way, if you see UPSC related examinations, you can understand trending format of questions, trending topics. You can see the repetition of topics, but the question will be not as it is same, but they will be changing something. You can see that which areas you are focusing more. UPSC will give maximum questions on current affairs itself, which are in news, and they will link with the static and they'll give. So you'll understand that trend, and you will be not getting any shock in your UPSC prelims examination after seeing that kind of topics. That is the idea what I'm saying. I hope you understood what exactly I'm saying. Okay, now let us see about this topic. First of all, let us try to understand what is this fortress conservation is about. Fortress conservation is a approach which came up by colonial time. At that colonial time, that means during the Britishers' time, they came up with this idea of fortress conservation approach. And it means nothing but if we want to conserve any animal in that environment, we have to completely displace these humans. That is the ideology of this fortress conservation. Have you understood? So this conservation process is nothing but it assumes that biodiversity thrives best when humans are removed, or whenever we are strictly controlling the movement of humans, then only we can save these animals. That is the ideology of this fortress conservation. So it is saying that whoever the tribal people who are living in that region, we have to completely displace them or relocate them. And even we should not allow that people to enter into that area for conservation of animals. So this idea is called as fortress conservation project. Okay, so what they'll do in this approach, they will try to build strict boundaries and they will impose ban on traditional activities done by this tribal area, in this tribal communities in this area. And next one here is they will ban hunting, shifting cultivation, collection of non-timber forest produced by this scheduled tribes in that area. That means completely they are stopping these people to enter into that area, and they are focusing on conservation of animal in that area. That is this fortress conservation process. And if you see this article, it is saying that this fortress conservation process is not useful in India. It will not work in India. Why? Because we have different tribal communities who are present in this forest areas, and they are co-living with these animals, and they know clearly about the traditional methods that can be used. Because if that population is thriving in that area, means without knowing the traditional methods, will they survive? No, because they know about the traditional things from ancestors onwards. They are gaining that knowledge from their generations together to save their life in their environment and their location. Now this article is saying that Solinga tribes are also living in these forest regions of Karnataka, and Karnataka is famous for tiger conservation. And these people, they got rights from Forest Rights Act, and even today also they are going into the forest and they are collecting this minor forest produce, and they are clearing these dry leaves, and they are continuing their livelihood in this region. But it does not have any impact on the number of tigers. Instead, the number of tigers had been increased in this region despite of presence of the Soliga tribes in that location, because they have the traditional knowledge. And whenever government launched any project for conservation of biodiversity, they have to take the help of community. Without the community participation, we cannot make that project success. That is this idea of this article, guys. And here you have to know about some facts regarding the Soligas. Soligas are also called as children of bamboo, and they are indigenous forest dwelling communities. Like that means they will enter into this forest and they will collect this minor forest produce and they will sell in the nearby markets. And what are the amount of money they'll get? They will sustain their livelihood on that meager amount. And they are example of particularly tribal community. And next one here is they practice podu cultivation to some extent. What is podu? It is nothing but shifting cultivation or slash and burning type of cultivation. And they collect non-timber forest produce like honey, amla, lichen, some medicinal plants. And even they control the litter. Like normally in this tropical dry deciduous forest, leaves will shed and leaves will become dry. So if you're not removing that leaves in the forest, what happens? It may cause forest fire. And these local community people, what they'll do, they will collect the twigs or branches for their firewood, and even sometimes they will clear this litter also in that area, so that this community people will helps to control forest fires in that region. Okay, that is about this topic, guys, nothing more than that. And here see, this article also giving some recommendations. In India, if you are going for designing or declaring any area sanctuary or any biosphere reserve or national park, if we are limiting the movement of people, it will be threat for their livelihood. It will be affecting their Article 4, Article 21, Article 19. Not only that, it will be also having impact on biodiversity itself. And this article is giving some recommendations based on this Soliga study. What they are saying, we have to shift from exclusion to inclusion. Always we have to move towards right-based, community-led and co-managed conservation. We have to take help of this local communities in conservation. That is the first point which is said here. And this one is we have to ensure nature-based solutions with equity. Okay, we have to ensure biodiversity and as well as livelihood of this people because their culture is entirely different from mainstream society. And this one is we have to bring some policy reforms. What kind of policy reforms? We have to implement this Forest Rights Act completely and we have to ensure the rights of this scheduled tribes in this forest to collect and to enter into that forest to graze their animals to go for shifting cultivation to some extent. So these are the recommendations given by this article guys. Okay, see this next article. Center reissues draft on Western Ghats eco zone. Very important topic. The keyword here is now tell me where are these Western Ghats located? Normally in your geography, in especially Indian geography, you study about physiographic divisions of India. In that physiographic divisions, you'll study about Himalayas, you'll study about plateaus, you'll study about plains, this coastal regions, Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats, desert, islands. So here we have along this western coast, we have this Western Ghats. Okay, and here you have to know one concept called as West Coastal Plains. West Coastal Plains. So here we have Western Ghats and here we have Western Coast. What are the place which is there between this Western Ghats and Western Coast is called as West Coastal Plains. And we have different names for that West Coast like and even we have East Coastal Plains on this east side. On east side we have deltas. For example, if you are drawing this rivers like this, you will be drawing like this, no? So these are deltas. Here also we have some west flowing rivers like Narmada, Tapi. They will not form deltas, but what they form? They will form estuaries. Okay, so you have to know about this and you will know about this concepts of delta, what is estuary in your geography. Don't worry, as of now just remember what happens here is whenever the rivers which are moving towards eastwards and whenever they are joining this Bay of Bengal, they will carry lots of sediments and those sediments will be deposited at the mouth of this river and they will form delta and they are very fertile regions. And even you will study about this Kaveri Delta region in your history also. In southern India, we have three dynasties: Cholas, Cheras, and Pandyas. You know this, right? Have you heard these names? Cholas, Cheras, Pandyas. And the wars between these people will happen because of this delta region of Kaveri. They want to occupy this delta region of Kaveri because it is most fertile. If you read history, mostly wars were waged between the kingdoms for occupying of lands and for women and next for wealth. So only for these three things in our history we studied lots of wars. Okay, one war you can remember between this Cholas, Charas and Pandyas is for delta region of Kaveri because it is very fertile region. Okay, so in that way you can remember the significance, why wars done, what they got, why they defeated. You will study about this in your history. But in your geography, what you will study? You will study about this Western Ghats. Okay. Many a times UPSC asked question on Western Ghats from geography. What they asked? First one is this Western Ghats spread in how many states? How many states this Western Ghats is spread? It will start from Gujarat till Kerala. How many? 6 states. 6 states it will passes. This was one PYQ question. And next one here is this in this Western Ghats we have some spaces in between. Those are called as passes. I said in our earlier class when we discussed about mountain, I said about passes. Passes are the spaces through which we can pass, right? So in this Western Ghats also we have some passes and we have majorly 3 important passes: Bor Ghat, we have Thal Ghat, we have Pal Ghat. On this UPSC asked question to arrange them from north to south and south to north. This was second PYQ. And next one is when you read your monsoons topic, this passes will play a very important role. Why? Because in your geography, I think you come across this kind of diagrams. Winds hit the mountains and it caused rainfall. This is which region is called as windward side. And after once the rainfall is caused in this area, the winds will move on other side, but it will not carry any moisture. It will not cause any rainfall on another side of the mountain or hill. This is called as which side? Shadow region or rain shadow region. It is called as rain shadow region. But what happens here is, because of these spaces, this monsoon winds will enter and will cause in some rain shadow regions also will get rainfall because of these passes. So you will be understanding about this passes and its importance in monsoon. And next, UPSC asked mains based question on comparing. Here we have which mountains? Himalayas, and comparing with Western Ghats, they asked question. So like that you have to know each and everything clearly. Okay, now if you come to this present article, we have this Western Ghats here. What are the problems we'll see in this Western Ghats? Landslides. Why we'll see landslides? Because of mining. Yes, what we'll do in mining? We'll go for open cast blast, or we'll dig the hole and we'll blast it and we'll try to bring the minerals. Okay, so that is called as mining. And even we are going for construction of railways, roadways in this Western Ghats. Not only that, Western Ghats are very important for tourism also. We have tourist sites, especially in Kerala and as well as Karnataka, we have lots of tourist places. If we have to accommodate this tourist to that region, what we have to do? We have to build some hotels. We have to provide some basic necessities there to attract this tourist. So for that, we are going for construction of lots of things, like we are developing townships in that area. Because of all these activities, what is happening here is it is causing ecological damage, especially when we go for improving of tourism. Think, imagine we are going to this Western Ghats, and if you're going for this tourist areas, will we sit silent and will we go and will come? We will try to purchase lots of things, and we'll take the products in our plastic bags and we'll throw here and there. And in this area, what happening? Nowadays, plastic pollution is also happening. And we have certain animals which are endemic only to this region. Can you tell me only endemic species in this Western Ghats? We have Nilagiri Thar, which is seen only in this Nilagiri region. If you come out of that place, we cannot see this animal anywhere in our country. So if we are causing this kind of environment destruction, can we protect this Western Ghats? If there is any landslide, what happens? It will be affecting economy of that state. It will be affecting entire environment, and it will also cause huge losses for the government economically also. Because of this, there are lots of committees established by the government. I'll tell you two committees. First one is Madhav Gadgil Committee. Next one is Kasturi Rangan Committee to study about this Western Ghats. And those committees gave some recommendations. Like we have to declare that Western Ghats as ecologically sensitive area, and we have to control certain kind of activities. And central government is issuing lots of times drafts based on these committees to these 6 states. But what is happening? Do we have same government at the central level and state level in the southern states? No. Because of this, what happened? There is no proper cooperation of states and central government. Because of this, there is illegal mining which is expanding at a rampant level. And even there are lots of illegal constructions. Encroachment of Western Ghats is happening. Because of this, repeatedly, we are having this kind of ecological disasters in our country. So now, if you read this title once again, you can understand. Center reissues draft on Western Ghats ecozone. This is not for the first time, not for the second time, not for the third time. Now it is 7th time central government is issuing draft for these 6 states to take some efficient steps to conserve this Western Ghats. So this is the story you have to know. And now what you have to see, what are the points in this draft notification. Okay, from environment point of view, you have to see about important national parks, important biosphere reserves, important tiger reserves located in this Western Ghats. On this, many a times UPSC asked questions. If you see PYQs from environment, you'll come across all these things, guys. Okay, now let us see about this draft notification. What are the proposals? First one is complete ban on new mining and quarrying, sand mining. We should not go for any sand mining. We should not go for any quarrying or mining. We should go for complete ban on new things. And already we have lots of mining companies who started mining in that areas. For already in operation related this mining related things, they gave time of 5 years. Within this 5 years, their lease will be completed and they have to stop mining. That is the second step. And next one is there is ban on new thermal power plants, and there should not be any expansion of new things, new plants. And next one is whatever the industries which comes under red category, that means nothing but which are releasing lots of pollution in this Western Ghat region, they should not give any license, or already existing they have to stop their expansion. And next one is they also came up with restrictions on large construction or building projects or township projects to promote tourism in that area. And next one is they have to control other activities like hydropower production also, because in this Western Ghats we can see lots of waterfalls, and from this waterfalls we can generate this hydroelectricity. So here they also gave certain limitations on production of hydropower also in this Western Ghats region to protect this Western Ghats. Okay, so on this UPSC can ask you a mains based question by including even by linking polity also. In polity we have this topic of federalism. Can you remember this? What is federalism? What is cooperative federalism? They link this cooperative federalism with environment and they may give you a question. In UPSC, don't think that questions will be on a single subject. There will be interlinking of subjects and they'll give you a complex question. You have to understand the demand of the question and you have to answer accordingly. But you can ask me a question, ma'am, how can I know whether it is a polity question or environment question? So polity is there in GS paper 2, and GS paper 2 you will write in the second day in the afternoon session. If the question is in environment, in which paper they'll give? In paper 3. So in that way you have to identify from which subject they gave and you have to write accordingly. Clear? Writing answers will be complex, I know, but with practice you can get that. Okay, see this next article, guys. Study finds multiple dengue virus strains circulating together in India. Yesterday only I said from August onwards you will get lots of articles related to spread of dengue virus. There is one article which says that there is increased dengue cases in India. So what you have to see? You have to see some basics of dengue caused by which mosquito? Aedes aegypti mosquito. It will bite during daytime or night time? Daytime. Okay, it is caused by virus, not by bacteria, not by protozoa. Which blood cells will be getting affected? Platelets. That will lead to internal bleeding. Okay, and what is the treatment for this dengue? We don't have proper treatment for this. We have to go for transfusion of platelets. Immediate transfusion. If the platelet count is less than 10,000 or 18,000, they will go for platelet transfusion. They will take the blood of other donors and from that blood they will separate this RBC, WBC and platelets. They will separate only this platelets. It will be like lemon yellow color and they will transfuse that platelets to that patient based on the requirement. And only we have to give symptomatic treatment, like which kind of symptoms you are saying, like headache, fever. For fever they'll give paracetamol. For headache also that thing will work. If they are having any vomiting, they'll give Vomistop ondansetron. Like that, what kind of symptoms you are explaining, for that they will give the treatment, but they will go for continuous hydration therapy. They will be on salines for minimum 5 to 7 days. Okay, now recently why this dengue is in news? Because India gave approval for which vaccine? Dengue vaccine. Who produced that? Japan. The location? Germany. Before India gave approval, this vaccine got approval in 40 other countries. And this dengue vaccine will provide protection for how many subtypes of dengue? 4 serotypes. Subtypes is nothing but serotypes, 4 serotypes. But now this article is saying that there are different multiple dengue virus strains are circulating. We have 4 types. 4 types is spreading in our country in the different parts. But what we discussed as one challenge in this Q dengue vaccine, it will provide excellent protection for 1 and 2. But 3 and 4, it is a question mark. But now 3 and 4 is also like rapidly spreading in our country. Even if government is providing this vaccine, can we protect our people or not? It is a big question mark. That is the thing which raised in this article. So here, just see this last paragraph. They said about prevention, what kind of steps we have to take. First one is we have to prevent mosquito breeding. How can we prevent this mosquito breeding? We have to keep our surroundings clean. We should not allow any stagnation of water nearby. If there is any water, that will become the breeding grounds of this mosquito. Even if there are any places where we are storing water, means we have to store properly. We have to store in a airtight containers. And next one is if there is any potholes in our nearby areas, we have to just pour 2 to 5 ml of kerosene. Do you know this kerosene? What it will do? Kerosene or any other oil we will use in our home. We have to spray that. Why? Oil will form a layer on the water. Do you know why oil will form as a layer? Density difference. Water is high density, oil is less density. Because of this, oil floats on the water. If oil is forming a layer on the water, if mosquito comes and sits on it, it will not having proper grip, so that it can not lay the eggs. So because of this, we can control this kind of breeding. And next one is we will have one special fish. Can anyone tell me what is the name of that fish? Any idea? I think you in your school days you might have heard about that fish. No idea. Have you heard about this gambusia? Gambusia is a fish which will feed only on the larva of mosquito. So we can release that gambusia fish in the water where we have in the nearby, so that it will feed on that larva, so that we can control the mosquito population. And one problem with this dengue is this mosquito will bite in daytime. Because of that, we cannot use this mosquito nets in the daytime. If we use mosquito nets in daytime, if someone comes, what is this? Right? So even we cannot use mosquito repellents in the daytime also. So that is the one challenge. So here you have to think about some new technology that we can use, so that we can control this mosquito bite in the daytime. I left this for you guys. Think on this and try to write 4 to 5 points based on how we can prevent mosquito bite in daytime. Okay, that's it guys, nothing more than that. Just revise this facts of Q dengue virus. So Q dengue vaccine and as well as dengue virus. See this next article, read out the title. Urban Indian private schools at risk of proximity to toxic lead sites, says report. This article is talking about lead pollution. If you see PYQs of UPSC related to environment, they asked many times about pollutant and disease cost. They gave a maths following type of question. They gave simply ABCD types of question. They gave pair-based question. And always pollution is one of the all-time favorite topic of UPSC. They may ask you about air pollution, they may ask you about water pollution, they may ask about soil pollution, whatever it may be, they will ask you a question on it. So here you have to make the list of the pollutants and the disease cost. For example, if there is nitrogen pollution in the groundwater, which disease we can see? Nitrogen pollution in water leads to blue baby syndrome. That means baby's foot and as well as palms and toes will appear in light blue in color. Yes, blue in color they will be appeared. And next, cadmium pollution leads to Itai disease. Mercury pollution leads to some other disease. So like that you have to see. And lead, which mainly causes neurological disorders in children. Okay, now let us see this article. This article is saying that recently one study found out that 90% of private schools in Delhi are located near contamination sites. In that site, we can see contamination with lead, mercury, arsenic or pesticides. And even the study is saying that when we compare with these developed countries and least developed countries, in least developed countries, mostly these schools are located in contaminated sites. Because of this, what happened now? What will be the normal timings of the school for children? They'll go by 9 and they'll come by 4:30 or 5. That means most of the time, except the sleeping, if you remove the sleeping time, most of the time they are spending in this schools itself. They are coming in contact with this pollutants more. Because of this, obviously they will be having impact on the children's health. So here this article is saying that normally lead will be existed in the deep layers of the earth. But whenever we are coming in contact with the lead exposure, it will be having impacts. And even have you ever heard in the school days, whenever the children start using this pencil, they will be keeping that pencils in the mouth. Sometimes they will be biting that pencil. Pencil lid is made up of lead only, right? So at that time, children will be warned by the teacher not to keep pencils in the mouth, not to chew. No idea. Why? Because it is harmful. But there is no alternative. Because of this, till first class, they will be giving only slate and slate pencil. After that, till fourth class only, they will be using this pencil. After this fourth class, they have to use this pens only. Yes? Okay, now this article is saying that there is no safe amount of lead exposure. There is no safe amount. Like they have to come up with, so 1 mg, 2 mg, there is no safe amount. That means it is very harmful. Especially what happens here is, in adults, if this lead is mixed with the blood, it will cause severe kidney damage. Kidney failure will happen. But what happens in the children is, children will be in the stage of faster growth, right? Both cell division will be happening, their organs will be increasing, their weight will be increasing, their height will be increasing. Overall, the growth will be happening at a very faster stage in this children or childhood. At that time, whenever they are coming in contact with the lead, that will be having impact on their nervous system. So what is the basic functional unit of the nervous system? Structure and function unit, neuron. Do you know this neuron? I think you might have seen this diagram in your school days. In 10th class also it is 4-marker question, no? Okay. So normally we have two types of neurons. One is myelinated neuron. Next one is non-myelinated neurons. So this is myelin sheath. If there is myelin sheath on the stem of this neuron, it is called as myelinated. If it is not having myelin sheath, it is called as non-myelinated. What is the importance of myelin sheath? If neurons are having myelin sheath, the transfer of impulse will be at very faster rate. In this kind of neurons, the stimulus will be delayed. So what happens here is, in children, if they are coming in contact with this lead, it will be affecting this myelin sheath. Myelin sheath will start degrading. So if myelin sheath is degrading, what happens? Impulse and stimulus will be delayed, slow. If you are asking question, they will not give reply very fast. Some people will say that you are very smart, you are very talented, I'll get answers immediately, because they have much more number of myelin sheath related neurons. If they're having less myelinated neurons, the impulse will be delayed, growth will be delayed, understanding power will be delayed. So especially some neurological disorders, if children are facing, they will be having high percentage of this non-myelinated neurons, especially in genetic disorders we can see this. So now because of this exposure to lead, even if they are not having genetic disorder, there is impact on their myelin sheath. Clear? So this is this article. So now as future IAS or IPS officers, it is your responsibility to take care of the children of your district. So what you have to do, think, and how we can improve the health of the children. Think on that lines, what are the steps can be taken. Try to make a note of that. Okay, now let us see next article. Read this title, guys. The Urban Nightmare, a fire with no escape. Actually, this incident happened in month of June. But don't ask me why, ma'am, why you are discussing now. Because it is there in today's newspaper. Okay, so here this article is saying that on June 22nd, 2026, 15 people died because of fire in multi-stored building. Now this article is in news. Let us see here. Already many a times we discussed about fire accidents in residential areas, but the story is somewhat different and you will come to know some new points. So let us see what are those new points, how we have to understand the things, everything. And this topic is important from disaster management. Okay, if you see this article, it says that on June 22nd, 2026, a fire broke out in multi-story building, and this building is in Lucknow. In this incident, around 15 people they died because of suffocation due to toxic gases. Okay, and next here in that building, they have a pet shop, veterinary clinic, and they have gaming or animation training studio, and they have a library in different floors. So the problem here is, first of all, they took the permission for building of that multi-story building for residential purpose. What is that residential purpose? Normally they'll give for rent for families, single bedroom, double bedroom, triple bedroom areas, you know, right? So only for the families they have to give for rent, and they have to use for only the residential purpose, and that is a permission given to that building. But slowly what happened? They shifted towards commercial spaces like shops, coaching center, library, and next gaming on animation related things. So they shifted to this commercial purpose. And what happened is, whenever we are using for residential purpose, the demand for electricity is comparatively low. Yes or no? If you're using for commercial space, obviously the demand for electricity will be more. Take example of our academy. How many lights are there? How many fans are there? How many ACs are there? This panel is running. Online system is going on. There is huge demand. For example, if I'm using for my home, will I use all these lights? Will I use this panel? Will I use this two ACs in one room? Not for sure. So because of this, what happened? There is increased burden on that electricity supply line. Initially, they built for residential, but they shifted to commercial. That led to this short circuit, and that led to this kind of accident. So here you have to say about what are the systemic failures which are there in our system. The first one is unauthorized conversions are happening. First of all, they are taking permission for residential purpose. If they are taking permission for residential purpose, they have to pay less amount compared to that of this commercial space. Even, do you know this electricity charges for residential and commercial purpose? Is it same? For residential purpose, it is 2 rupees per unit, but for commercial purpose, it is 5.5 or 6, I guess. Again, the price change is there. So that is the one reason. And next one is, there is missing or compromised escapes. There are no proper fire exit systems. There is no proper ventilation. There is no emergency exit. And that means you are not following this National Building Code. And next one is weak enforcement of laws. Already government once identified that this had been shifted to commercial space. We have to demolish that building. But because of this nexus between political parties, then what happened? Obviously, they removed the issue of demolition notice. They withdrawn that. And next one is congested urban fabric. There is narrow lanes. There is no proper even entering of this fire engines also. If there is, and if you are calling for this fire engines, so if you have you been visited to this Charminar and Madina area once, whole city area, so the lanes will be very narrow. Only the bikes can go. If this kind of incidents happens, means even fire engines cannot enter into that lanes. So the same thing happens in this Lucknow also, because of there is increased urbanization, rapid population increase in these urban areas. And next one is, there is political and bureaucratic apathy. They are not taking proper steps. There is no proper political will to control this kind of incidents. Because of all these things, this kind of accidents are happening. So here, whenever you are writing any answer related to this fire accidents, you can also add this one point: uncontrolled shifting from residential to commercial spaces. That is a one new point that you can add here. Okay, see these questions. First one, it is about Soligas. First one is, they inhabit both Karnataka and Tamil Nadu region. Their traditional knowledge has contributed to biodiversity conservation in Western Ghats. They are prohibited from collecting forest produce even after Forest Rights Act. They are in Karnataka. That means nearby. They are not present only in that area. They can spread villages, relatives. It's a common thing. So one will be there in your answer for sure. And next one is, they are focusing on conservation of biodiversity. Yes, because of that only they gave this case study. Means 2 will be there for sure. And what about 3? They are prohibited? They are not prohibited. They are still today also they are going there. That means this third one will be wrong. Answer is B, 1 and 2 only. See this next question. Consider the following statements regarding Western Ghats. First one, they run parallel to the western coast of India. They are recognized as UNESCO's World Heritage Site. They are older than Himalayas. They intercept the southwest monsoon winds. Which is older? Himalayas are older or Western Ghats are older? Aravallis are older or Western Ghats are older? Aravallis are older or Himalayas are older? Now tell me the answer. Himalayas are rain-folded mountains. Okay, so what is the answer here? All. Yes. So like that, try to compare one ranges or one hill with another. On that way, UPSC asked question. Okay. And one more important point, please make a note. Recently, 2 days ago, we have 45th UNESCO World Heritage Site in India. It is Sarnath. Do you know this Sarnath? Sarnath inscription, Sarnath Ashokan pillar, right? So here recently we have one more update. We have one new UNESCO's World Heritage Site. It is 45th site in India, that is Sarnath. Sarnath is a place where Buddha gave his first sermon, first speech. Okay, and this is called as Dharma Chakra Parivartana. You'll come across that in your history. But as of now, just remember it is 45th World Heritage Site. If you're getting this kind of current affairs, for sure UPSC will ask you a question on this UNESCO's World Heritage Site. But that is not covered in any newspaper. Just I want to let you know about this. Okay, keep star mark for this. In 2027 prelims, you may get a question on this Sarnath. Because Buddhism is very important. Every year there will be a one question at least in Buddhism in your prelims. Now this time they can link with the Sarnath and they can give you a question in Buddhism in your prelims. That's all guys. By this I'm concluding. Thank you so much for watching this session. And one more thing is tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. we are going to have orientation session on anthropology. And if you want to take this anthropology as your optional, please do join that session. And we are providing both on online and offline, which is of free of cost. For offline, you can visit our academy, which is located in Ashok Nagar. And for online, you can download our Rathods IAS app from Play Store, and please do log in so that you'll get notification before that class gets started, guys. Don't miss a session. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.